Hi guys, welcome back to the Mr. Talk Show. Today I have with me Miss Cherie Wang. She's the co-founder of financial planning app Planner B. They are a startup in the Fintec space. Today we talk about insurance, why Fintech is important, and what Planner B hopes to achieve for their users. Cherie?
Hi, JJ. Thank you for inviting.
Thank you for coming down all the way here. It's very exciting for me to talk about today's topic.
Same here.
Something very close to my heart as well.
Yeah, so what a coincidence.
Yeah. Can I maybe get you to first introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Cherie. I'm the co-founder of Planner B. So prior to starting Planner B, I was in the financial planning. I'm in the financial planning space straight out of university. So I started being a financial planner and managed quite a few clients. And eventually I found that it's very backward. The industry is very backward. So I came up with several ways that I could help improve the way things are doing, and then Planner B was born. My co-founder is actually my brother, so together we're literally a fintech play. The whole idea is that we're able to allow people to plan for their finances more easily from their mobile phone. Kids these days are all just on their phone, right? So why not let them have a tool that they could see their expenses, insurance, investments all together, and then just move away from the very traditional, not that it's bad, but it's very slow, very manual. And we feel that this is a better way moving forward, moving with times, instead of just sticking to pen and paper.
I want to maybe start by sharing with you my experience in the life insurance industry. So you mentioned that you started right out of university, right?
Yeah.
So I actually started 12 years ago, 13 years ago, when I was fresh off NS.
Wow.
So what happened was 2 months after I already, right, my dad died of a heart attack.
I'm so sorry.
Like, I'm sorry that I have to tell you this, but it's but I think it's a context for my position coming from today. So he died of a heart attack. He was the sole breadwinner of the family. My mom has always been homemaker. So I have two other siblings, and I'm the eldest brother. And immediately you are like thrust into the you have to go get a job, and you have to take on the responsibility of bring bread back home to the table, right? So I was like exploring my options, set up my resume. Then I thought to myself, maybe I can explore the life insurance industry, because of course, having gone through that experience, you know the importance of insurance. And secondly, because I wanted to pursue my studies as well. And therefore, I thought that it would be nice to have a flexible kind of like work arrangement, where I have a bit more autonomy of my time, and I can juggle my schoolwork and my career. Do you stumble upon the industry, or were you someone? How do you join the industry?
Oh, so I have a similar experience with insurance because my family is like full of diseases. Yeah. Life insurance is something that we have benefited from. But as a student, I stumbled upon this because of an internship. My coursemate back then was in a particular insurer, and they were looking for more people to join as an intern in the insurance space. So I went. It was like I think, if I remember correctly, a 5-week program, and then they basically teach you more about the industry. And at the end of it, if you pass the papers that they require you to, you get a good, appointment letter saying what you've done during this internship. So I just went, and that's how I got introduced to the industry. But through that, I also got in touch with a family friend that introduced me to a broader perspective of financial planning. And that's when I think it took me a year to learn more, and I decided to join after I graduated from NUS. Yeah, so it was more of a let me try and see how it goes. I think in that way I was quite fortunate. There was no monetary stress on my end. My family was neutral about it. More so, I would say that whether if this worked out for me, they'll be open to it, but they won't say like supportive, because it's a very to them it's a very strange career path for me. Yeah.
Do you embrace it right away? The nature of the industry?
I think I took it as more of an academic thing. Like, okay, let me just learn about it. It's a life skill that I need. Let's see what insurance is about, what the fundamentals of it, how are the products designed, what sort of things do we need as on a basic level, and how can we customize things to suit people. So I think from the start that was the approach, and then it came to, these are things people need, but somehow there are different ways which it's sold. It can be sold through the banks, through direct sales. I wouldn't say that I agree with how it's distributed in the ways that I've been exposed to, but I chose a pathway structure which I was very comfortable with. I feel that professional approach suits me, and it suits the people that I attract, I guess. And then with time, I find that, actually I like doing this. It's like solving puzzles, and with each person that comes in, I'm helping them plan out their things, and I feel like I'm finishing a IKEA project, It's like, okay, great, and then next up. So it became a bit monotonous towards maybe the 5-6 years, but I still enjoy it a lot. Yeah.
What was your philosophy like? Like you mentioned, learning more about the broader financial planning process. What has always been your approach as a consultant, as an advisor when you work with your clients?
I think we need to strike a personal balance between planning for the future and living for today.
Yeah.
Because people can die anytime, right? Yeah, but I think I have a certain belief in how I would manage my money, and that's very personal. I have to try to segregate my personal beliefs from what I should impose on other people as a professional. But from there's still a framework where I think everybody should be aware of, like, you should have this, you should have that, and why. I think the educational piece is very fundamental to me. And the downside of that for me is it's very hard for me to deal with clients who are not interested in being educated. Yeah.
So you always saw yourself as a role of more of the educational kind of role to help people understand more about the products, about the process.
Yeah, and the structure.
The structure.
Yeah, so I'm quite a structure person. I came out of a structure and I'm like, okay, this is how it works, and this is how we fit it in based on your data. So everything became very process based.
Can you share about your personal beliefs when it comes to financial planning?
I think that people should think about how we're living very long. And if we don't allocate our money into buckets where you are prepared for different situations, then we're screwed. So we have to be prepared for illnesses. We have to be prepared for, I don't know, random birthdays and stuff like that, right? Or not random birthdays, but random stuff that happens, good or bad. You have certain expenditure. So that's living for today and being prepared for downsides. But also thinking about, a lot of people think about how they want to retire early. But they stop there. They don't know what it takes to retire early. So the fundamental that we are living 90 years, we're only working for X number of years, and then living for another X number of years not working, I think my belief is you need to set aside that as early as possible so that you can really achieve the goals that you want. While that is being done, you need to be prepared that your nest egg will be screwed up if you're not prepared. And the only way to do that is with insurance. And some people will say, no, I don't need. That's bullshit. Because even the rich people know it's about understanding the product and understanding how different products suit different people. Not one thing suits everybody. Yeah.
I've always liked to tell my clients, right, when I was in the industry, I quit in January this year, that everyone has a budget they are comfortable working with. No matter no matter what segment of society you are at, what kind of income you have, everybody is only prepared to put in so much into their financial planning, right? Because like you said, every one of us, we have our social life, we have our expenses, and we have our aspirations as well. So it's always, to me, I always saw it as like a struggle between the scale is like on one side is protection, having a good healthy amount of sum assured for death, for disability, for critical illness, and on the other side is like savings, right? So depending on what kind of policies or products that you get into, it might be a very traditional kind of cash value that accumulates then there might be a ILP that does. Do you see your role as more of a protection person or investment person?
I would on a personal basis, I am quite risk adverse, and because of things that I've seen, I tend to be even more risk adverse. But from a financial planning perspective, I still come back to my take as an educator. My job is to tell you that if you eat too much, you'll go fat. I'm not telling you not to be fat. I'm telling you that this is the cause and effect. So you make your own decision. And the way I was being introduced to financial planning as a consumer was to, okay, what's your budget? But when we eventually know, and I believe you understand the concept is the needs-based approach, right? Then we tell people you need this much to retire, you need this much if you're sick, if you need this much if your family is sick, you need this much to eat every day and to enjoy your life. And then you tell me, how do you want to proportion it?
Yeah.
I'm just putting the things on the table for them actually. Yeah.
Do you have a story to share on, maybe what are some of the key events or incidents that happen in your life that shape your perception or financial planning?
I think from a cash flow management perspective, because I come from a family of entrepreneurship, and then the good thing is that these people are really good at making money, but they're also very bad at managing it. So I think to ensure that your family is well taken care of in good times or bad times in the business, there are a lot of cash flow management that these groups of people should be more aware of. And because I've seen that, I'm more aware of the need to manage cash flow and to be prepared for emergencies. And those emergencies could be not even me being sick. It could be like my parent being sick, right? Or my sibling being sick, my dog being sick. These things are things that people often don't think about, but maybe because of the job nature or the unfortunate events that I was aware of as a child, I'm more prepared, or rather I take the step to be prepared for it. I think my grandparents have quite a few illnesses that got at least my siblings, my cousins introduced to insurance very early. And I remember my sister told me late teens, I was like, what's insurance about? And she was like, it's a cost of exchanging your risk to someone else. And I'm like, okay. And it's a very small cost compared to your risk, and you're just exchanging that. It's a cost of exchanging. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a great concept. And that concept actually follows me till now, because people think about how, why should I pay for this? But it's a service. So you pay for that service, there's a cost to it. Right.
You mentioned earlier that you have, you got a bit tired of the process, right? 5-6 years in the industry. I think you did reasonably well in the industry while you were doing very active sales. What was your career in very active sales like?
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't say I'm tired of the job. I'm tired of how manual the job is.
Okay.
Yeah. So every day I'm looking at Excel spreadsheets and systems, and then doing basically the same calculations for different people. It's customized, but it's essentially the same framework. So that becomes a little bit mundane, and you wonder, like, there are virtual banks and there are robo-advisors. Why isn't this automated a little bit more, even for advisors? But my day as an advisor would mostly include servicing work, and because it's so manual, you can imagine changing your client's address is also very manual, even for them, even for us. So there's a ton of paperwork. Possibly 80% of the time is spent servicing, 20% of the time is actually with the client. And that is not the most enjoyable, which is why we try to come up with a framework to automate that 80% a little bit more. But we chose to automate it for the end consumer, which at the end of the day, I guess everybody benefits too.
Let's talk about Planner B. From that stage in your career, how do you eventually take the dive into starting an app with your brother and starting Planner B?
I think in my nature, I'm quite. I like to automate things. I like to make things a little bit more. How should I put this? Optimized. Yeah. So when the job becomes very comfortable, then I start to think, how to optimize. So I actually optimize my work really well as an individual advisor. But there is a limit to how much a human can do, and it was showing even 6 years into the industry, and because it's my first job, I still have a long way to go, and I wonder how can I continue this way to be fair to clients that have already bought from me that I promise to service, and to also feed myself to ensure that, hey, I still have an income, because the fundamental of this industry is still based on sales.
Ongoing sales.
Right? Incentive to continue servicing a client that doesn't buy from you 10 years down the road is very low. You have to make a conscious effort ethically to remember that you made a promise and you were just paid earlier, right? So with that, I thought, okay, I can either solve the problem for advisors where I make their lives easier, including myself. But I did some research and the response was not very effective, not very, very warm. So I was
What was the research about?
Research on whether people would take up a service like this.
The market, as in the market of insurance planners and agents and consultants.
They wanted to be optimized.
So you are essentially thinking about selling them a CRM software kind of thing, platform?
Sort of like that, based on my my trial and errors of how I work. But because it's very personal. And I think that many people have done that before and not any of it really, really fly, because first, this is a target segment of 30,000 people only. If you get 10%, that's only 3,000. Why would you spend so much money just to make a product for 3,000 people, right? Or even 30,000. And out of which, because the job is so free form, everybody have their own style.
Yep.
So I can't, I think imposing your style into someone requires either the training from the very beginning that this is a good style, otherwise changing their style midway can be a little bit challenging. Yeah, so that was the research the feedback that we got, and we're like, okay, never mind. At the end of the day, this is still a business, so we looked at the B2C model where it's a tad more challenging. It's very, very challenging, way more than financial planning work actually. But the cost to reward, and at the end of the day, we're creating a product that people will use, and we went ahead with that. The investment of time is the same. So we're just investing time and effort into a much bigger market.
How did it start out?
How did it start out?
What was the first step that you took to starting something like Planner B?
A lot of research. So spoke to the clients, people down on the the target audience. What would you like? But it's difficult for people to imagine a product that they have not seen.
Yeah.
You can't tell people to use their phone to call for a random car to come and pick you up. Until now we're like, oh yeah, it's a very common thing. But prior to this, it's unheard of. Nobody will say I will do it. So we have to take a balance between feedback, rejection, and what we believe will be the future. And first of all, we believe in open banking, something that's very advanced in the UK. Not super, but it's already taken off. And Singapore is moving towards that direction.
So what's open banking?
Open banking allows people to see, to share their data across, to consolidate their data across different banks. Broader perspective is financial institutions. So you should be able to have a central database to see all your bank accounts, your investments, and even your insurance. So I believe MAS is working towards that since 2018. And that's when we realized this is the direction that we want to go for, because the first step of financial planning is seeing a picture of your current status, right? And it's very painful for anyone to go find out from everywhere what you have, how much money you have, how much insurance you have, how much you pay, how much you spend on what. Yeah, so when we know that this direction is the future, we know that we could build a product based on that seeing a full financial picture of a person on the phone is possible, and then we can give recommendations based on basically the Excel sheets that I work on every day, to provide a unbiased, neutral recommendation of what's needed. It doesn't mean that they are recommended a product. Then they know that they need to buy this much. They know that they need to be covered for this much. They know they need this much for retirement. That in itself is a huge step already when it's automated. Yeah.
When when you're doing this, right, having been in the industry doing personal sales for 10 years and having to go into a totally different kind of framework of working, of thinking, and of coming up with new skills and resources to put what you have in mind, in your vision to reality? What was the biggest challenge?
I think the biggest challenge was finding a partner actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so went through many things, many matchmaking events. Eventually found the partner at home. Yeah, and that's my fortune, I think. But for a lot of people, I think being the person with the domain knowledge, you may not have the skills to build the tech required, and everything is a tech now, like it or not. But I'm not a tech person. I like tech. I don't know how it works, but I know the user experience that is required for a good tech to work. So having somebody that can build the fundamentals of that is very important, and somebody that would build it with longevity. Yeah, so that was very difficult when you are coming from a non-tech background trying to do a tech thing.
How did you get to your brother? What was the conversation like with him?
Oh,
And what's his background actually?
yeah, so he started, he was also in NUS business.
Okay.
He did finance, went into the banks, did pretty much the investment space of stuff. Big money is there, but he's also actually seeing how it's being changed very much. Eventually, banks' profits will be smaller with all the robo-advisors coming in because the cost is a key thing that people look at. So he moved into machine learning a few years into his career. He's younger than me. Yeah, so I think it's great because that's the future. He went into it not knowing what his future would be like, but by the time he was pretty advanced in his machine learning career, he kind of, I guess, took pity on me. At the same time, he also believes in the vision of the business, and then we got on board together to build this version of Planet B. Yeah.
Having been in the industry doing active sales and consulting for 10 years, right? Of course, you know that it's your bread and butter as well to have a very personal kind of relationship with clients, and to, like you said, you are educator, you hold the client's hand, and essentially, I think when you play on such a role, you are facilitating a purchase for your clients. Helping them make sense of the whole diverse range of products, right? But at the same time, you had this conflict in yourself, knowing that this process can probably be at scale. And there's this conflict, right, between that it's a very personal kind of business model. People need to get their hands held. So how do you build an app that does that? What were some of your considerations behind designing the app features? What do you think was the most important feature? And of course, you mentioned about basically implementing a lot of the spreadsheet formulas that you are doing one-to-one with clients, right? Allowing the app to do it at scale. What are some of the key features that you wanted the app to achieve?
Yeah, so I think the first thing we needed to be sure of is who are the target audience.
So who is your target audience?
For now, we built the app for the Gen Z and millennials, so people under 35. But eventually, I believe that people who are older will also adopt this as they get more comfortable. The reason is because people who are above 35 have experienced the hands-on approach. So maybe converting them is difficult. But the younger people are like, I've never done this before. This is my first experience. So we want to capture that.
First experience in terms of like you're referring to buying a financial product for themselves, planning for their insurance, and educating themselves on the financial planning process.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think the older people are, the internet has evolved very quickly.
Yep.
Prior to this, maybe 10 years ago, the information of financial products, financial literacy is a lot more sparse. It's hard to figure out a good idea what you should do. But you fast forward now, there's so much information. The behavior has changed that people are educating themselves from the internet versus like 10, 20 years ago, you ask your friends. You ask your friends, you're more likely to be acquainted to a friend that would actually provide the service.
Now you're more likely to ask YouTube.
Yeah. Or you ask Google.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get nonsense, but in general, you get a sense yourself, and you will make your own decision. And with that behavior changing, we find that the financial planning career will change too. So we need to move with times. And so we educate people in that way. So we go towards the YouTube, the Google. We created a blog in 2019 just on education. We never ever like prioritize any brand or product, telling people the framework. So we go to where people want to be educated. Yeah. And these are people who are younger. And because they are educated that way, if you give them an option to continue that journey down via their mobile phones, we believe that that's the future. Very much same as how people tend to buy travel insurance online these days. You book a air ticket online, right? You don't go to a travel agency anymore. So, but it doesn't mean that financial advisors are not going to be useful. They will be, but for high-level stuff. So things that are more complicated, in case they need help, in case of claims, these are when, situations that a human needs to help. But the bulk of the things that are quite mundane, we think that the younger folks would prefer to go through an omni-channel approach like that. Yeah.
I downloaded the app.
Thank you.
Actually, I like it very much.
Yeah.
For me, I've always been trying to look for a financial planning app. And for me, so for me, right, when it comes to my own personal finances, I think it's very important to know where your money is going. The first step to it is just where are you spending your money on? And in the day-to-day, right, when you're spending your money, when it's F&B here, then it's like social life here, it's very easy at the end of the month to just lose track.
Yeah, like where did it go?
Yeah, where did it go? Of course, now we use a lot of channels such as like GrabPay or apps to pay. We use our credit card to pay. There is some form of, in terms of like accountability, that all these banking apps and all, they will help you with. Like you have charts, you have graphs and all. But a few years back, when my mom was ill, and so my siblings and I, right, this one is just a personal story. So my siblings and I, we have this arrangement whereby I'm the primary caregiver to my mom, and they will be contributing money into the family account, and I'll be in charge of the family account. So one day, right, what happened was my brother asked me how much money is left in the family account. And I said, there's no money left in the family account. Then he said, why? And I said, I don't know why. I spent the money on, on things like...
On her.
On her, on buying medical equipment, on giving salary to the helper, on paying the hospital bills, on paying for the medicine, everything. But I didn't have I couldn't open up the books to show my siblings like, these are the expenses. And that was the time where I started looking for an app to consolidate my expenses. And I couldn't find an app to do it. So in the end, what I had to do was, my sister is an accountant. So she was telling me that, hey, God, it's very easy. Just use Excel pivot table, and you can easily, come up. So what I did was, I can have a link to the template if people are interested. So what I did was, I separated my money into 3 groups. One is personal, business, family. And at the end of the month, right, so every day I just took down my expenses. Then on a good day, at the end of the day, I would just key into Excel, and I can pivot table, right? And then according to like family, then the subcategory, mom, helper, F&B, blah, blah, blah. But I really was looking for an app. I came across some app which I used, but afterwards I just gave up because I didn't think it was very localized. It was more of like US apps and all. And the kind of features that they provided sort of wasn't very localized. At least it felt like that to me. So the thing I really like about your app is that I love the design.
Thank you.
It's very cleanly designed. I think it's very comfortable on the eyes, and in terms of the UI UX, right? I like that it's very clean and all. Can you maybe just share with the audience if they download the app, or why should they download the app, and what are some of the key features that you think your users are doing now with the app?
Interestingly, if I can share, we use the app to track our mom's rental income. From like a year ago, she'll be asking, did the person pay? I'm like, I don't know. And the bank would have erased that information, right? I mean, you could probably find it if you call them up, but in the banking app, you only get data.
1 month or 2 months, 3 months.
3 maximum. So checking back on expenses a year ago is kind of quite painful. It's possible. So we do actually track all these things and how much we're spending on groceries on her end with the app. That's one interesting use case that we didn't think of. But most of our users actually track their dining budget. Singaporeans, I think, eat out a lot. So they like the budgeting tool, and that's what we built it for day to day, like for you to know and be able to go back the month and see, hey, okay, my money has gone this, and things are getting more expensive. If you want to cut back on something, if you don't know what happened, you are not going to be able to
you have to
figure out
know
where
first.
to cut
Yeah,
down
exactly.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even when we do face-to-face consultations with the clients, you have to ask them how much they spend, but most of the time it's very vague. They don't even know, and if you try to piece the number together, they don't balance. And if there is a way for them to see it, and maybe Asians are shy, you don't want to maybe reveal it to a human being, then a faceless app might be more useful to be truthful to yourself. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I've spent like 20% of my salary on Grab, taxi. But the people who have insurance policies, they do find that the app allows them to understand their policies better, because what we have built in-house is the capability to convert the word. Say you're from, like, say Prudential has pro-crisis cover. What is that actually to a user? Nothing. But the app converts that into, okay, you are covered for critical illness for 100,000, which is much more useful to a user, an end user who does not remember all the jargons, and totals up all the coverage they have in total, like across different insurers. So for people with policies, they appreciate that. And if they want, look, they can see, oh, I can go to a private hospital. Because in times of emergency, where are you going to find that information, right? Yeah, you can find it on paper, but these days everything is digital too. But if I can share, recently also, we have more people requesting for sharing of data.
Like between couples, husband, wife, or
Yeah,
even with their children.
Yeah, especially for insurance.
Oh, okay.
Because if something happens very abruptly, actually, how do you find the information?
So there can be like cross-referencing with my girlfriend's policies, for example. Is it something like that?
For example, if your girlfriend, okay, let's use a random person, like boyfriend suddenly faints and is in coma, and then the girlfriend's like, oh no, what do I do? And ask the parents, nobody knows. Are you going to call the insurance company one by one?
Which is the worst case scenario, right?
Yeah.
You have to do like one by one. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a very a real use case that is increasingly more of a request that we have not built in, because we initially built this for Gen Z and millennials, right? They don't really think they will die tomorrow, so they don't care about these things. But we're getting more people who are slightly older that, like, you know, we really appreciate this. Even sharing of expenses with our spouse is also something they want to look at.
Yep.
But there are a lot of things that we can work on that people want, but we just have to prioritize whichever that is voted up. Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about why I think an app like this is important from my perspective.
Oh, sure.
And especially, you know,
user feedback.
Yeah, and especially after being in the industry for 12 years. I absolutely agree with you that I think an app like this complements the work that agents like us have been doing, for the good work that we've been doing, right, for our clients for many, many years. But I think the biggest lie or misconception that agents try and sell their clients, right, and it's very, very common, is that you're buying me. To me, a lot of agents sell themselves as, you are buying me, right? You're buying my service, you're buying my advice. But I would choose to slightly disagree with that. I think at the end of the day, right, clients are still buying, first and foremost, a product. You recommend the product, but it's the product that stays with the client. So I'm a very good agent, I'm a fantastic agent, I have the client's best interest at heart, right? Today I sit down with my client, I recommend my client a product, and of course the client has benefited from me. But tomorrow I might get run down by a bus. And what stays with the client, right, is at the end of the day the product. So the product is very, very important. And I would argue that you can't say that in the buying process you might be more important than product. But once the buying process has completed, right, once you have accomplished your mission to help your client go through this process of sieving through the products, recommending a suitable product, it's the product that will stay with the client. And when I get into a coma, when I faint, right, it's also the product that will help me. If the product is not there, I can do nothing with the best agent in the world. So you have to actually make the purchase and buy the product and make it yours. And so, and that's why I believe in a product like Planner B. That's why I was very, very keen to have this conversation with you on the podcast, because I really believe in a very good platform to aggregate all the policies and having a platform to, at one glance, look at where you are financially. Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do too.
Because the agent can leave tomorrow for whatever reason. Or even, you see in some cases companies merging, and there might be some changes in terms of the structure, in terms of, but the product is always there. And as long as I think the understanding in terms of insurance contract is that as long as you pay the premium, they have sold you a certain product and it continues. And that's why a product like this is very important. What in this product, right, in this Planner B product, right, in this app, which version are we at now?
It's always changing though.
Okay.
We're always updating. So every 2 weeks to a month, you will see updates. And we're now building more features to update the budgeting feature, which is very popular. And that would help people to get a better experience overall, as well as inputting more products for insurance so that people can have really a more wide range. For now, we're very focused on making sure the most basic insurance, which is medical insurance and disability, you get a full comparison across all products and all providers. The information is listed there. It's on a factual basis, so there's no inference. That's very important for us, that we list it out in a clear way, but we don't infer or present any biasness to the user. It's a very hard balance because the jargons used in insurance is so terrible. It's very hard for people to understand. To strike a balance between accuracy and helping people understand, it's quite a hard work on the designer and the copywriting, which we hope we will improve with time. Yeah, but coming back to your conversation on buying the product or the person, I agree and disagree, because for people who don't have the knowledge, actually they feel that the person is the service and the researcher. So they're buying that service and they feel, to some extent, if there's trust, they are trusting that person's research and hence buying that product. And then in times of claim, they hope that that same person will utilize their knowledge to help them with that processing. So we appreciate that, and that is what we did as a professional, right? But that's not scalable, especially when you say, wow, the agent just gets banged on my car and dies tomorrow, what's going to happen? Which is why a USP of company as a service is important, because even if one person is down, the company and the service goes on. And I have never had a holiday that I am not looking at my email or my WhatsApp. Never ever in my starting years of working till now. Maybe most people are like that, but there really isn't a single day that I feel comfortable switching off, because what if somebody needs to check on something?
Yeah, you can't.
Right? And I think my clients are very kind. They do not abuse me that way. But I'm sure there is a lot of fatigue in the job that we do. And if that is not addressed, actually people tend to leave because they get tired. They don't enjoy their work anymore because they're doing things that are not enjoyable, not fulfilling. Yeah, so there are certain things I think we can automate. And that's what we try to do, only that we went straight to trying to solve it for the consumer, which hopefully in turn lessens the workload for advisors too.
On the other hand, do you also recommend your fellow co-workers to use this product with their clients?
I think that we don't promote the app to fellow co-workers because it's, to some extent, maybe some people will feel that, I work in one insurer. Exposing my client to different insurers may lead to more questions. So then it may not be very useful in that sense. But from a consolidation standpoint, I think maybe the client might find that it's quite useful, but not totally, because the agent or the advisor has no visibility to what's synced in the phone. So then there's no advice that can be given based on the data there. Yeah, but the app gives data on its own, advice on its own, based on the algorithm that we build in, based on fundamentals of financial planning. So that should be hopefully helpful to people who use the app.
Yeah, there are some very useful calculators that I see inside as well,
Yeah.
like retirement calculator, mortgage
Yeah.
calculator.
Yeah.
There's one thing that I would love to see in the app.
What is it?
So it's like, we always talk about, when we're advising clients, right, holding their hands to go through like a very educational process. So what I would love to see is like a more storytelling kind of approach towards like buying, let's say, for example, term insurance or figuring out how much personal accident cover do I need. So, if I go in there, right, and, it's like a journey, right, you start by keying in how old are you? Are you single? Are you married? Then how many children do you have? What's your monthly income? What's your monthly expenses? How old are your children? Then you come up with, so it becomes like a framework for you, for me to understand like, okay, so if my youngest kid is 5-year-old, I want to support him until he's 25-year-old and my expenses is 5K, then the app would just like do the calculation. It's a bit like sitting down with an agent in person.
Yeah, actually, we built that in February, but we're not doing a good job marketing it. It's under the plan tab.
Okay.
And then you click on
income protection.
Okay. You should see calculate needs somewhere. And
calculate needs.
Yeah. Or update your coverage.
Update status and get better coverage. Okay.
So when you click on calculate needs, it asks you about like 5 questions.
Okay.
And based on the app data of how you spend and how much insurance you already have, it will ask you just a few more questions, like because we don't know how,
existing
how old
cover.
your kids are. Existing cover, if you sync your policies, it will take into account automatically. Then will tell you, hey, actually,
there's a type of
JJ,
financial
you're short.
dependence.
So because that's data we don't know, we're also integrated with SingPass. So we also take into account like HDB loans to let people know, hey, your mortgage should be protected. But unfortunately, we can't see if the person has HPS. So there are pros and cons to the calculation, but to a large extent, it's as accurate as we can be. To answer that need. So you can give it a go and.
So I think if there's like a little bit more graphics to it, then I think it'll be like cuter, and all. So I've always believed that can we, as a society, right, and as an industry, get to the point whereby buying insurance and buying cover, the basic ones, so like term cover, death cover, and PA cover, CI cover, these are really the most fundamental things that people are looking at. Can it be as easy as buying bubble tea? Whereby in bubble tea we say, okay, how much percent sugar do you want? So if your need is $1 million in sum assured, can I say that, okay, maybe I will just buy 50% first?
Yeah.
Like ordering 50% sugar bubble tea, right? So I just say, okay, maybe I'll just looking at my circumstances. I can, after talking to my partner, I think we can do like 50% of it. So let's do like $500,000 cover first, which is still very good, right? For someone to do like $250,000 or $500,000 cover. And that's what I have been trying to like look for an app to do.
And add on later.
And I can have the option to maybe like next year the app will just send me a notification that says that, hey, last year you made this purchase. And you only made like 50% of your original intended purchase. Is this something that you want to look into this year? I think that would be very cool.
That is the long-term goal that includes also telling people like, hey, you actually have some money left behind that you could squirrel into, say your SRS, which goes into your retirement and also helps you with tax reduction. So the ultimate goal is really that it automates a lot of these advice because the data is already there. But for the insurance thing, can it be as easy as buying bubble tea? I think then can the terms and conditions be rewritten to be as easy as bubble tea ingredients? That has to come from, I think, the top part of the vertical where the insurers, the product makers need to simplify their wordings. Which I think some insurers have tried to do. They've done a relatively good job for a very lengthy legal document. But there are a lot more that sometimes even when I read it, I'm like, what is this? I need to read it another time? So I think we're far from it. But unless the insurers try to simplify their documents, people would wonder, because when I'm buying this bubble tea, I'm not consuming it now. I'm buying it to be used 10 years later or don't know when. So people would be afraid that the terms and conditions are hard to understand. Yeah.
The other concern, okay, maybe I talk about the other side, the concerns of using an app like this, like from a consumer point, because I'm
Yeah.
using the app, right? I think there are two. One would be that, of course, we are always concerned about like the security of the app, because we are like, you know, syncing our SingPass,
Yeah.
then we are linking our bank account, you know, there's this PIN thing that I really like. So if my girlfriend goes on my phone, she just can't,
Yeah.
you know, she just can't go in and look at everything, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So that's very useful. So maybe you can just talk a bit about the security aspect of the app.
Yeah. So first on the PIN thing, because that's the easier thing to talk about. When we were designing it, we were thinking about how people on the bus, on the train, looking at it would be having their bank account values just popping out as the first screen. So we deliberately kind of hide it in the back, so you don't have to see that as the first thing if you are in public. And the PIN is very important because just in case your phone's left around, right, then you know that person has no access to this app. But to the data security, we take a lot of priority on that. So everything is encrypted asymmetrically. And for those who have synced it, you will realize that we do not save your username and password. We have the capability to, but we chose not to because we don't want to deal with those things being lost in transit, because there's no way nobody can be hacked, not be hacked. There's always a chance. What we can do is to ensure that even if there's that small chance that we do get hacked, the data cannot be linked back to you. So the database is structured in that way that everybody is anonymous. Even with the SingPass info, we don't take IC numbers. We requested to exclude that. So people are not identifiable. Yeah.
The other thing would be, for some people who are skeptical about using an app like this, right? They always think about the broader business model behind the app. Like, okay, they are providing me with this service, right? But how do they earn money out of it? Are they selling my data to earn money? You know, or are they getting a big fat commission from the insurer when I buy something on it? For people who have this kind of like questions in their mind, right? What's the answer to that?
Oh, so in the beginning, there are users that are like asking us, why are you doing this for free? We're like, yeah, we will eventually put in products that you can buy through us and that will help to, you know, supplement the cost that we incur. But end of the day, I think people need to understand that we did some survey and people don't want to pay for a service like this. So we're making it free, but we monetize from any sales that's made through us, and it doesn't cost them extra. We just get a cut from the partners that we work with, and that helps to feed us. It's also very important that we cannot prioritize a product in any way over the other if they are in the same class. Otherwise, we risk a lot of like legal issues why we are advertising for one more than the other.
As in the different insurers who are on the
Yeah,
platforms.
the products.
Okay.
The unfortunate thing is the ones with the A, starting with A, will always come up first. We're still thinking of how to deal with that. But we do profit from people who buy through us. So we hope that people will do more of that to support the other features that we give for free. And I wouldn't put out the possibility of ads in there in the future, but we'll make it very clear what is an advertisement of a product and versus what is editorial. Yeah, which is very important because people want transparency. Yeah, if I could, I'll put the commission rates down and what we earn, but we're
just
not
be very
allowed
transparent
to.
about it.
But we're not allowed to.
I'm very curious about, you know, for a lot of insurers, right? Life insurers. The life insurance industry is, I like to call it sometimes a dinosaur.
Yeah, it is.
You know, in terms of the structure of the business, in terms of the structure of the people in it. So I'm here talking about, let's say if I join a particular agency director or manager, you know, I'm under that. We are like different 7-Elevens like operating, representing the company, right?
Yeah.
When insurers look at a product like this, what's their reaction to it? from your business point of view, when you talk to them, are they very concerned that you are going to rock the boat, or are they actually? The other thing I would think is they would also be they have a vested interest to develop their own platforms to sell to their customers. So how do they react to a product like this in the market?
I think that from their business perspective, of course, if it's possible, I don't think that we are a very huge plus in terms of transparency, because that helps to put, our job is to help people compare, right? And that's the last thing product makers want, whether we are selling insurance or whether we are selling apples. So differentiation is always important, so that you could ask for a premium on something that you're making. But coming back to them trying to have a product like Planner B, a feature that they could sell their products on, I don't think it's a direct competition to us. In fact, it enables us to have that technology that we can work with them on, that they already have, to be placed on Planner B. Because after all, we are brand agnostic. We don't represent any insurer, any bank, or any loan providers. So from that perspective, people are more likely to feel that we're not selling them, say, brand A over brand B. But if you go straight to brand A, all you're going to see is brand A. And consumers these days like to make sure that they compare first. Whether they're buying shampoo or they're buying like insurance, they want to make sure, even more so for a lifelong product, right? So having a one brand platform is not in itself any competition to us, actually. Yeah. But whether the insurers like us or not, I think it will be a little bit of a push on the back on them to make sure that they look good too. And there probably won't be one provider that's good at everything. So they could be winning at one and losing at the other. And I think that's a business decision anyway. So then they could actually use our platform to try to improve and think of ways to differentiate themselves a bit more. Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah.
I strongly encourage all insurers to be on apps like yours.
Yeah, I hope so.
No, it's not like I'm doing advertisement for you, right? But I really feel that, from a consumer point of view, right? Going into the purchase tab and seeing the different various products that are represented there, right, gives me, I think it's a first step towards doing like deeper research as well.
Yeah.
So, if you are represented there, that means you are
visible.
Yeah, you're visible.
Yeah.
You are an option, right? That's on my table. And that means potential business for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But for some, they will feel that, I'm already visible, but I don't seem very competitive. But really, if you look at the products across, when you compare, there won't be one that is very clear to everybody. It's just clear to some people because maybe that person wants the cheapest. The other one wants the best but more expensive. So it doesn't really apply to everyone what best is. Yeah.
So what are you racking your brain at behind the scenes in terms of getting people to buy something from your app? Because at the end of the day, like you said, you're providing a service, right? If eventually, for the long term, people don't start having that habit to be able to be comfortable enough to make a big purchase like this, that's going to last. Like, I look at like you there's a whole life tab, and whole life is like until age 100, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm going to buy something like this, what do you think is what are you guys thinking of in terms of incentivizing users to actually start having this culture whereby the society is comfortable making such purchases on app? As comfortable as we are buying this camera and this hard drive off Taobao and off Lazada, what's the thinking behind?
I think we hope that the users will give us a try with something that is to them a smaller amount of money. So it could be a motor insurance, a travel, a home insurance, to give it a try to gain trust of the service that we're providing, and trust that this company will be there for them when they need a claim to be done. But because we are still at this moment very much funded by a very small circle, we don't have the money to put like ads on the bus or at the MRT station to say, hey, please buy insurance from us. But maybe we eventually might come up with a marketing plan that that can afford what we can. But for now, the word of mouth is very important. And we do give some of our users that are already on the app incentive to buy through us. They can get some vouchers that for already starting with us to purchase anything that they want. We don't tell them that, you know, you have to buy this one because this has a discount. We'll just tell them outright, this is the information. Whichever you choose, you get an additional benefit from us. Yeah.
Talking about like fintech, right? There are a lot of apps that have like mushroom out, you know, in the fintech space.
Yeah.
And also like apps like even investing apps.
Yeah.
You know,
more so investing, I think.
and they have big budgets, right? You know, they have strong backers. You know, you see their ads all over the space, all over the place. How do you think the fintech space is growing? And you know, as a entrepreneur in this space, what's your experience like?
It's a laggard, so there's actually a lot more to grow, especially in a country where we have old systems to replace, versus China that never seen checkbooks.
Or never had a bank account?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're like moving forward straight away to e-wallet or just iBanking. You know, they may not even know what an ATM is. But for us in Singapore, we have to move from an old behavior to a new one.
That we are quite comfortable with. Many people are quite comfortable with.
Yeah, but if you tell them before it happens, they won't be. They have to actually see other people do it and kind of like follow the crowd. Because if you think about even like taking a Grab, it's only taken off maybe in the last 5 years. But they have been around for 10 years? In the beginning, you'll be like, is it safe? What if that guy like drive me elsewhere and stuff like that? So these adoption come with validation, I think. And that's where we are hoping to achieve that validation. Unfortunately, we're the first people coming up to say, hey, you know, financial planning can be done on your phone. But the good thing is the robo-advisors, the wealth advisors have done such a great job with the marketing that using the phone to put your money in to invest is not unheard of.
And people are quite comfortable doing it now, especially like the millennials and the younger crowd.
Yeah, but I my hypothesis is up to a certain amount. Up to a certain amount, you'll be comfortable, and then you'll be like, I want to talk to someone.
You mean like, let's say I buy stocks?
Yeah, if like maybe, for example, a person might be comfortable using an app without any human interaction to validate that they're doing the right thing up to 10,000.
Okay.
Because a robo-advisor is, after all, investing for you. But buying a stock, you're actually just using the exchange to hold that stock, right? So you still hold something.
So you're talking about the robo-advisors?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they will do that up to a limit. Perhaps same for Planner B. We expect that people will buy insurance up to a certain amount. Up to that, they will expect that they want a validation of their buy with a human, and that's where we come in, and that's why we call ourselves omni-channel, and not just replacing advisor. We're just fast forwarding and reducing the workload in the beginning for both ends.
Can I ask you a question about the app also? So if I want to like contact us, talk to someone, right?
Yeah.
I get referred to a WhatsApp account.
Yes.
So
you can choose email as well.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh yeah, there's also email. So who is at the other end of the channel, you know, that answers my questions?
Yeah, so we have a business WhatsApp account and also a central email. We only use one of each because we don't want users to have to search for so many emails for different reasons. We want a central communication, which is the easiest for people. Whether you buy or you claim, it's the same number. So when the lead comes in, we will see, okay, this is relating to what kind of questions, and we will sieve it out accordingly. So that one number is actually tended by a few people, depending on the questions. So
I can do claim via your app.
if you buy it through us, we will direct we will do the claims for you.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's very important because I just actually helped a friend to do a travel claim very recently. He got injured at the ski resort in Switzerland. He bought an insurance. I wouldn't say from where or which insurer, but it's based on reimbursement basis. When I got hold of the information, it's 200,000 already. But I looked at the document, and the document says reimbursement. So I said, pay first. But it's okay. I think I know what to do. So I called the hotline with the family member and said, actually, no money to pay. Can you help? And the insurance is there to help. They are not there to say, I don't want to claim everything. Also, because they have a reputation to cover as well, right? They wouldn't deny a valid claim. So with some questions asked, actually, they paid the hospital directly. But it's not on the document because they don't want people to be claiming $100 in Bangkok and then asking for a direct payment because it's just not.
It's probably a due diligence also.
Yeah,
the mechanism,
Yeah, so it's just not possible within a 3-day trip if you go to hospital on day 2 for them to complete the whole claims process. But in situations like this, only people in the industry will know it can be done. And that's where the expertise in our team will be able to help in terms of claim. Yeah.
Great. Because of your background also and all, you know how to service all these clients that comes through the channel, or at least advise them. The other question would be, I think there are a lot of, for this podcast, right, there are a lot of students who, like young adults who watch this as well. So, for young adults who are like thinking of getting into Fintech, or for even people who are like mid-career, right, they look at you, wow, you did well in your career and now you have this idea and you're diving into this. What are some of the advice, or what are some of the personal beliefs that you have had or you had to overcome in order to like totally change track and dive into this endeavor?
I think there are a few things. First is, as a planner, we have to be prepared, right? There's enough of runway to build an app that doesn't pay you. I think that is in itself a luxury for a lot of people. Yeah. And it's going to be difficult for young kids who have never worked before, unless they're rich parents lah. Yeah, that's another situation. But before they endeavor into any business, whether it's fintech or food, a lot of research has to be done, and it's best to speak to someone who have done it before, and have a mentor with you alongside, because there are a lot of mistakes to be made. Yeah, and if you're not familiar with that business, don't do it. Because being in the industry for so long, doing it's already so difficult.
Yeah.
Can you imagine going if I don't know anything about, say, audio equipment, and I decide to sell it tomorrow, I'm probably going to be very bad at it, and the learning curve is even steeper. Yeah. So I think kids, you got to know what you're doing. But interestingly, there are a lot of business kits for kids. If you are the consumer, you might be more empathetic to how it would be received by your peers who are your customers. Then maybe actually they're better at executing it, which is, not a bad thing.
Okay. There's a lot of talk about like women in the fintech space as well.
What?
Women in the fintech space.
Yeah.
Like,
Not many.
Yeah, not many, but there are some who are like trailblazing, right? But there are also some women founders have also come out to talk about how it's more difficult for women to be in this space and to make a name for themselves, even in the fundraising, even in facing clients. What's your experience like as a woman in fintech?
I think this would apply to any fundraising situation, whether it's fintech or not, that women tend to not display the full potential of what we really are or what we can be. And that's what fundraising is. You need to sell yourself.
So you feel that you are too paiseh to be loud about it? Or
no, I wouldn't think of speaking the same way as maybe a much louder male or not male counterpart.
Okay.
Like I went through an accelerator to understand how the whole startup scene works. And I hear the pitches and I'm like, oh, okay, you can really sell something that does not exist very well. And it's a skill in itself, and it works for people like that. And it's just not in my nature. And I believe it's not in the nature of many women, especially Asian women, that you are just afraid to declare that you can do something that you've never done before.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that in itself is a deterrent for funders to fund, because they want to fund a big story, but you're not talking big enough.
So does it stem from a place of insecurity or lack of self-belief? Or?
I actually don't know why. Yeah, but for me, I wouldn't say it's a female or gender thing. It's a personality thing, at least for me. But
Okay.
it is something that is more commonly seen in women. That, you know,
Yep.
I don't think it's a belief. I think it's just they will only say what they've done before, and it's just really difficult to say something that they've not done before.
Be a lot more cautious,
Yeah, or
conservative.
in the promises. Yeah.
And also because I think that because of I know at least when I was a consultant, right, I always endeavor to under-promise and over-deliver.
Yeah.
You know, it's always easier to handle clients when you have under-promise them and you actually over-deliver for them and you deliver the extra mile, right? But I suppose sometimes when you have to sell your story, you have to come up with a grand big story.
Yeah, or project in a way that is so large that it sounds unbelievable, but believe that it can be done. I think there is a mental block in maybe more women than men for that, or at least they're not so good at pretending.
Okay. Maybe the last question. So, in terms of like, I think we have talked about this in the interview, but to summarize, right? Where do you see Planner B? What's the short-term plan? What's the long-term goals of Planner B? What do you aspire it to be?
In the short term, we hope to be the app where Singaporeans would think of when they want to buy insurance and when they want to budget for their money, whether it's for themselves or their family. In the longer term future, the app actually is available in six countries in Asia.
Yeah, I saw the options.
So the next country would be Malaysia and Hong Kong and Vietnam.
Which is the country with the highest adoption rate? Or it's people are more. Do you see a cultural kind of thing?
It's naturally Singapore because our marketing efforts were very steered on Singapore. But there are quite good uptake in Hong Kong and Malaysia too, which is why we identified that naturally then we should move there. Also because of the maturity of the market. Yeah, that insurance products in Hong Kong are quite equivalent to Singapore, so it's very easy for us to go there. But there are also political concerns on that front. Malaysia is great because there's a much larger population size. There's only that many Singaporeans, right? Yeah, so Malaysia is the next place that we want to go. And the good thing is a lot of products are similar to Singapore as well, and they're a little bit slower in the product development. So we have some sort of forward future insights into what will happen. Yeah.
Do you have any other things to add?
No, just hope that people who listen to this would maybe just drop me a note, give me feedback on the app if they ever try it.
Where can they reach you at?
They can reach me at my email at cherie@plannerb.co, or just ping our one email or one WhatsApp number, and we do share that inbox very frequently and share the feedback in a small team, so it's not very hard to get me on LinkedIn as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Cherie, thank you for today's interview.
Thank you, JJ, for the invite.
Thank you, and
Really
I wish you and Planner B, all the best and what you are trying to do. I personally again, from my background, having understood the importance of insurance
as a consumer too. Yeah.
as a consumer, and also I need to tell a sub story again. I remember when my dad passed away, right? He had this endowment policy that he got for me, and then the agent already left. And I remember sitting myself at the AIA Centre that time before I joined the industry, right?
Yeah.
Sitting myself at AIA Centre trying to do the waiver of premium.
Oh.
Yeah. It's actually like last year or last 2 years of premium.
Oh.
But I just thought that, okay, if it's a feature, I should just get
Use
it done,
it,
right? Yeah, use it. So I think there's a lot that can be done in this very dinosaur, traditional industry. I think an app like this can complement whatever people are used to having now, whether they are working with a very trusted advisor, kudos to the good work. But there are many other features in this app, not just like buying insurance or and also I always like to tell people, know where you are spending your money at.
Exactly.
Yeah, use something like this to track your expenses. Like now that I know that, the security portion, encryption, I am more likely to refer my friends to use this app as well,
Thank you, and we'll be looking forward to all the feedback. Of course, the support will help us build more features, which we are very concerned about the way claims are handled. the knowledge and stuff like that, and that's very important from an insurance standpoint. So apart from helping people with the money planning phase to purchasing a financial product, we want to be there when they need to utilize it too.
The whole loop, the whole customer service loop.
Yeah, and even giving the person an update like, oh, you've been spending more. Last year, it looks like you had a baby, maybe this is time to look for changes in your insurance.
Reminder
like
to pay
that.
premium overdue, all these
things,
simple things. Yeah.
But yet very cumbersome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, thank you, Cherie.
Yeah, thank you, JJ.
Thank you.
Thank you for the invite.